Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Monomyth Diaries, a podcast where ordinary people share their hero's journey. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Mandi, and we'll be your hosts. We're glad you're joining us because we all have a monomyth to share, and someone out there needs to hear it.
Welcome to the Monomyth Diaries, a take what you like and leave the rest podcast, where real people share inspiring stories of transformation. No advice, no experts, just connection, growth, and hope.
Today, we're pausing between hero journeys to reflect on something that shines through every story that we've shared, which is gratitude.
So, we're talking about something that we've learned from other monomyths in past episodes.
Yeah, things we're grateful for.
Things that we're grateful for. So, Mandi, why don't you tell me if there's anybody that you've learned from or a monomyth that has really touched your heart or you feel like has made a difference and impact in your life?
If I go back and I think about all of our guests, I've definitely learned and taken something away from all of them. But I feel strongly connected to Donnell's testimony. And I think in his episode, he really portrayed that God can use anybody. So I struggled with my faith for years and years. I mean, almost 20 years. If you haven't listened to my monomyth, I was number one, like episode number one, number two, number three. And I talk about my journey. In it, I don't talk a whole lot about my faith, but there's a little bit in there. I really struggled with, I had been a sinner and I didn't feel forgiven. I felt a lot of guilt and a lot of shame. But in Donnell's episode, I realized that God can use the broken. And he said to me in that particular episode, Mandi, everybody's a sinner. And so, as you both know, I now attend his church
Yeah.
every single Sunday, which I was never a church goer. But
You're baptized.
I did. I got baptized back in March. Donnell baptized me, and he has truly changed my life. And I am so grateful that our paths crossed.
Yeah.
What about you, Angie?
Well, for me, it was Tyler's story. Listening to her story made me realize how often I take stability for granted. Her story opened my eyes to how much we can grow when we're pushed to our limits. I used to see survival as simply like getting through, but hearing her experience showed me it can also be a transformation. It challenged me to look at my own struggles differently, not as roadblocks, but as opportunities to rediscover my own inner strength. How about you, Rachel?
Well, I learned so much from Stephanie's episode. I'm deeply grateful for her journey, her experience with infidelity in her marriage. It led her to seek a deeper connection with the Lord.
Yeah, it
And
did.
that's something that people
Yes.
don't think about. Infidelity it is something that a lot of people struggle with and sometimes think that once it's happened, there's no going back and you can't fix it. There's no restoration, there's no healing. It's a powerful testimony to marriages all across the world, including in my own and all of our marriages, that nothing is beyond restoration. That God is a good God and He can repair, He can restore, He can do anything. When He says all things are possible through Him, it's true. It's a testament to the transformative power of faith and the possibility of healing, reminding us that even in our darkest moments, there is hope for restoration and renewed love in our marriages. So that's probably something that resonated with me deeply was the fact that God can move a marriage, He can move anything.
All right. Well, let's talk about a moment that you're grateful for right now. One in your own monomyth. And I know you haven't had an opportunity to share your monomyth, Angie, but just knowing your own story,
Yes.
tell us one thing that you're grateful for that's come out of your story.
Out of my monomyth, I guess I could say that I am grateful for the little everyday moments with my family and friends. The morning check ins, the shared meals. It was a lot easier when the boys were younger. It was dinner time is dinner time, and the four of us are having dinner together. No ands, ifs, or buts. But there's still moments when we do have dinner together. We sit down as a family, and it's nice. And I cherished those moments. Even the small arguments that at the end we're laughing about. How about you?
If I had to pick one moment, I would have to say it was back in January 2005, and it was desperation, is what I would call it. I had a moment of desperation that changed everything for me. I think I had reached my breaking point, and I know that we've talked about this on the show, specifically in Vianey's episode, where she talks about turning your pain into purpose.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what was happening. I just knew that I was in so much pain. I needed to do something different. And I finally got desperate enough to make that phone call to a friend to say, I'm so desperate, I will try anything to do something differently. I want what you have. And I realize the importance now and how important it is to set a good example in the world for other people to say, man, I want what she has. That
Yeah.
idea of discipleship
Mhm.
that I learned from Nikki's episode where she talks about discipleship, and I didn't even know what that was. I didn't understand it. And even when I started going to Donnell's church, I didn't understand discipleship. And so now I understand because that's what my friend Diane did for me. She was walking the walk, keeping her side of the street clean, always living with grace and dignity, modeled good relationships and what those look like. And I wanted what she had.
Yeah.
But I had to get desperate enough to want
To
it.
want it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that breaking point to say, I want to do something different.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to be there again.
Yeah.
But today I know that if I get there, my number one tool is pray.
That's
In
right.
any problem, my first job is to pray. Before I talk to my husband, before I talk to my friends, before I talk to my mentor, my pastor, anybody, my job is to go talk to God. And I'm so grateful for the gift of
Yeah.
desperation.
Yeah.
What about you, Rachel?
I say my moment was probably in 1992. My story doesn't come out until January, so I'm gonna kind of try to not to say exactly what the moment was, but I remember that day like it was yesterday when I realized what blessings in disguise meant. When I realized in order for me to appreciate that, I would need to forgive. And that's when I learned how to forgive. And I needed to be able to forgive to be able to move forward with my life. That was a defining moment for me, understanding what my grandma would always say, that's a blessing in disguise. And I was just a kid and I'm just like, whatever, until I really realized what that meant when something so horrific can happen to you, but then there's this hidden blessings in all life's messes. It really is. There always is. But something so horrific can happen to you, but yet you can be left standing with this beautiful purpose now. And in order to move forward with my purpose, I had to understand what true forgiveness meant. And forgiveness didn't mean letting the person off the hook or the situation off the hook. It meant for me moving me forward and understanding that when God says that we're not the ones to judge, there's a freedom in that. There's a freedom to not be the judger. You get the freedom to love, let the Lord judge, and you just move on with your life. And so I was able to cast my judgment away. I was able to cast my unforgiveness away. And I literally broke the chains that propelled me forward into my life to be where I am today. If I hadn't gone through that terrible thing, I don't know that I would be here today. I wouldn't have this amazing purpose. Sorry. This is a joyful cry. This is being so grateful to God that He is so real and that He gives us the gift of forgiveness. It's not saying what you did was okay. It's saying I'm going to be okay now and I need to move forward in my life. And you have to break those chains, and the forgiveness is the chains that keep us locked to a person or a circumstance or not.
Hmm.
Isn't there a
So
scripture in the Bible that says forgive often, forgive fast, or something like that?
yeah, there is. I don't know it specifically. And you know what? Since then, I forgive so quickly because I understood in that moment with this big thing. If me letting go of this, I let go of everything now. I don't harbor unforgiveness for people or situations or circumstances because I realized what it would do for me is to hold me back. And I that one step to forgiveness opened up so many doors for me in my life. It's a freedom.
Man, if you can forgive for something so big,
Yeah.
I can forgive my neighbor.
What a powerful thing forgiveness is.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Ladies, well, thank you so much for sharing about gratitude. I really appreciate it. I love talking about gratitude. It's one of my favorite things in the whole wide world to talk about. Gratitude doesn't just live in the big moments, it shows up in the quiet connections, the shared stories, and the borrowed light that helps us find our way forward.
To our listeners, what light have you borrowed lately? We love to hear what you're grateful for and how a story has touched your heart. Thanks for joining us. Happy Thanksgiving from the team of Monomyth Diaries.
Thanks for joining us on the Monomyth Diaries. If this episode resonates with you or someone you know, we'd love for you to share it and spread the inspiration.
Don't forget to follow us wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube to stay connected.
We'd appreciate if you could take a moment and rate and review the podcast. It helps us reach more people with stories of transformation and growth.
You can visit us at monomythdiaries.com or text us directly from the show notes to reach out and keep the conversations going.
Until next time, heroes, let's journey together through our monomyths.